Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome into another episode of the DC Powerplay. I'm your host, Subir. You can find me on Twitter at PleaseWinDC. And as usual, I'm joined by my co-host, that'd be Drew Gallagher, and he's on Twitter as well. You can find him at RoboStop10. Just to remind you, we do this podcast for the DMV Sports Network, and they can be followed on Twitter at DMV_SN. They have a lot of great daily content on all things DC sports in addition to college sports as well. And if you enjoy our show, please be sure to follow the DC Power Play and subscribe wherever podcasts are available, which includes Apple Podcasts, Google Play, YouTube, and SoundCloud. All right, so Drew, let's jump right into the four-game recap for the Caps. Started a week ago versus the Devils at home, and this was a 3-0 victory for the Caps, which marked their sixth straight win at the time. And pretty much the breakdown of the game was that Burakovsky had an early goal, and then it wasn't until the third period until the Caps were able to get the second and then third goal eventually. Devils were definitely a team I think they're last in the Metro. Just a down year for them. So this was a game that you really expected the Caps to win. And while they gave up some chances, Holtby was really strong. Sometimes you just don't care how you get the win. You know, when you look back at it weeks from now, you just like the two points and it's a shutout win. But some bad news about the game was the Caps took 6 penalties. And again, this was against a bottom team that was missing some of their actual good players as well. So, you expect the Caps to play a bit more of a clean game when you're playing down to an opponent like that. But overall, you can't complain about a shutout win against any opponent. What were some of your takeaways?
Yeah, you hit on a few that I was going to look at myself. Devils are on the bottom of the division, a team that you are supposed to take advantage of where they are and how they're playing. The Caps have a tendency to play down to their competition and have done that over the years, at least the recent past. But as you said, taking way too many penalties in this game. Like you said, they took 6. Their only saving grace was the fact that the penalty kill went 6 for 6.
Right.
So they kept them off the board. Brayden, kind of a pedestrian a game really. He only had 25 shots or 25 saves, if you want to look at it that way, against the Devils team. That really. They like to kind of clog the neutral zone. They are a pretty quick team, but it was a pretty sleepy first couple periods, even though the Caps were up 1-0. When they finally got to the third, the Caps seemed to kind of be skating much better. They ended up, getting a couple goals there in the third.
Backstrom power play goal.
Yeah, and then Lars Eller gets the shorthanded.
Empty netter.
So, yeah, a game that a game they should have won. A big 2 points. The Caps actually ended up at being 50% in the faceoff dot, and I thought that for one of the things that they've really been poor at, I thought in certain instances made the difference. At some points during the game. So can't really complain about a 3-0 shutout.
Yep.
And it's 2 points.
Exactly. And moving on to the next game, this time the Caps would be going for their 7th straight win, which they do get versus the Jets. A 3-1 victory at home for the Caps. And just really impressive right off the bat to hold the Jets to just 1 goal is really impressive. The Jets, obviously one of the top teams in the West, one of the top teams I would consider one of the elite teams in the league. There's about 7 of them, and they have a lot of offensive power. They're really a heavy, complete team, and the Caps were able to really put front their best effort to get this win, even though the Caps were outshot 34-18. They made those shots that they had count, and it was Backstrom who stayed hot with a goal. And Hagelin also had a breakaway goal after a really nice pass from Dowd, that alley-oop pass. And then again, Eller with an empty net, which, it's good for him. Get those, any way you can. Those empty netters are big. But I think if you're a Jets fan, you're disappointed that you were 0 for 5 on the power play versus the Caps' backup goalie. It was Copley who got the win. But the Jets game, that was an impressive win in my eyes, Drew.
Yeah, Copley had 33 saves, and really the Winnipeg's shots weren't the shots really weren't really that bad. I mean, I thought the Caps kind of kept most of them to the outside. Copley had to make a few big saves actually in certain spots, and I thought that he had a great game. Hagelin and Jensen together have been great for this team on the penalty kill since they've arrived. Hagelin specifically in this game with 2 bad penalties in the second period, but Dowd with one of the best passes I've seen in a while in stride to Hagelin and took advantage of it and buried it.
Right.
That was a huge momentum swing, and I think that the Jets kind of got on their heels after that, and I thought the Caps took the game over and really, really played well. Again, from the faceoff side of things, they were only 35% for the game. So again, with teams that do well in the faceoff against them seem to kind of take advantage of that. So Winnipeg was 65% themselves, but a big 2 points against the Jets team that, as you said, leads their division, one of the top teams in the West, and the Caps trying to maintain their first place status, and this one made it 7 in a row at this point during your streak.
Yeah, that's right. And you touched on the penalty kill again, 5 for 5 penalty kills. So while they're taking a lot, they're able to kill 100% last 2 games, and they've taken 11. So it's good to see Hagelin has certainly made a difference on the penalty kill as well as scoring offensively that game. And then we move on to the next game, which was the marquee matchup of the week, which is at Pittsburgh. This turned out to be a 5-3 loss for the Caps, so it ended their 7-game win streak. But it started with 2 Vrana goals, which were really nice for Vrana to reach the 20-goal plateau. So he has 21 now. And, Caps were playing a perfect game when they had that 2-0 lead. And it was one Kuznetsov mistake, which led to the first Pittsburgh goal, and then in turn really just an avalanche that we couldn't handle for 2 minutes. Kuznetsov trying to leave the zone, didn't think anyone was back checking on him, or I think it was Getzel who stole the puck from Kuznetsov, and then they had a 2-1 and scored. And after that, it was just like the whole ice was shifted. Do you want to talk a little bit more about how that momentum just completely changed?
Yeah, Kuznetsov has been kind of a frustration this season. He has good games, and then he goes through a stretch, either being penalties or turnovers, blind passes. He's been very inconsistent. When he plays well, it seems when he plays really, really well, the team plays well with him. When he doesn't play so great, the team kind of suffers. Being on the top line, he needs to be better. He just hasn't been as good as he was last year, and I don't know really what his issues are at the moment, but he's just not playing well. In this particular game, really, I know that the second goal really wasn't a turnover, but he let himself get pickpocketed at the blue line.
Yeah,
pickpocketed.
That's right.
When he really should have gotten rid of the puck up the wing when the guy, I don't remember who it was up the wing, but they were open. All he had to do was just dish it and go.
Right.
And so he was I just thought it was just kind of a lazy play on his part. So has not been good.
Yeah, I think at times, even if he's not turning it over and hurting the team, there's just a few too many games this year where he's just been MIA. Like, he doesn't make the impact what you expect. Like last season, he was a dominant player. You would see him every night on the ice. But the first line has still been producing, and he obviously is a pass first guy. So, he tries to give Ovi and Wilson as many chances as he can. Sometimes he needs to use that to his advantage and be deceptive and shoot it when people don't expect it. But I think it'll all come down to how he performs in the playoffs, because when he's on his A game, the Caps, I mean, he could have won the Conn Smythe for the Caps in the playoffs last year. And that's the kind of koozie we expect at this point. But just some more notes from this game. Ovechkin did get his 1200th point, so that is something we should mention. Congratulations to him. It was an assist. Unfortunately, came in the loss, but Ovi himself had a couple grade A chances that he did not bury. I don't know if they were holding the sticks a little too tight that game at Pittsburgh, but I really thought he could have had at least 2 goals that game, which would have been really nice. Even, Eller and Hagelin had some chances on 2-on-1s that they just weren't connecting. Caps did have 41 shots on goal, so it was really the opposite of the Jets game, which was the game prior where they only had 18. But overall, you got a taste of Pittsburgh. If you see them in the playoffs again, at least it's a 7-game series, and you can expect another close one. But any other thoughts from the Penguins rivalry and the Penguins game?
Yeah, I just thought that, it was like was about a 3-minute stretch where Pittsburgh got, their 3 goals. It just took away, their momentum, and just it was just theirs to lose. I mean, they made it made it 4-3 late. They had the empty net goal at the end. I kind of really don't count that per se, but they just have to be better with the puck. If you're going to turn the puck over more often than not, you are going to get burned more often than not. And so they just have to be better with the puck.
Yeah, I mean, you got to play a full 60-minute game versus them. I mean, as well as the Caps are playing a period and a half into the game, almost 2 full periods in, just one kind of mistake and the whole tide of the game changes. But, they've done well of usually being able to weather the storms, but this time Pittsburgh was able to just get those 3 goals instead of just 2, and that's kind of what hurt. But now let's move on to the game that we just recently watched. It was a game we just watched tonight at Philadelphia. The Caps were 5-2 victorious. So, Craig Laughlin kind of said it at the end of the game. It looks like the Caps came out kind of angry or mad probably from that Pittsburgh game. And they really took it to them. Conley with 2 goals. Just a good game overall. The penalty kill again was perfect, even though they took about 4 or 5 penalties. Just good to see them kind of bounce back. Holtby was strong, and Philly just can't beat us this year.
Yeah, Connolly of late, and especially that third line, has just been really, really, really playing well. They just found some chemistry, and I was waiting for Hagelin to be moved up. I just didn't think he should be on the 4th line. I think they were just trying to get his feet wet. But I think Hagelin's speed with Eller at center and then Connolly over there on the right has just been great. And I would love to see them continue to play that well. If they can really keep producing, especially when they get in the playoffs, having rolling 4 lines and having 3 lines that are consistently going to put the puck in the net, even playing Tampa, you're gonna have a chance to win a series. And this team can't just survive on the top line alone, or maybe even the top 2. They're going to have to get that secondary scoring. And, Connolly, great tonight. Wilson with his 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Eller got his 11th. So it was one of those games where, a team they should beat, team shorthanded, younger, a good big 2 points considering the Islanders and Pittsburgh won tonight. They got to keep pace. And so a great win. I was a little bit nervous about tonight, considering that Philly had so much to play for, because they're on the fringes trying to get into the wild card race. And I'm glad that the Caps showed up and played their game and got a big win.
Yeah, no doubt, an important game, and Philly's been winning a lot of games, just not against the Caps lately. So I don't take this game for granted. Definitely a bounce back game for the Caps, and all of a sudden the Caps have a bunch of 20-plus goal scorers, and Conley's actually now at 19, so they'll add another one soon. When it was not too long ago, Ovechkin was the only 20-plus goal scorer for the Caps. Guys like Vrana and now Conley and Tom Wilson have just been adding. Evgeny is only at 18, so it really shows the balance throughout the lineup. They're going to have a bunch of 20 goal scorers. I think Backstrom is 1 away from 20 as well. So the offense has certainly come along, and yeah, you're right. Against Tampa Bay, you have to roll all four lines because they can certainly match it. But the good news is Caps are not scared of Tampa Bay at all. So I can't wait till they play coming up, and we'll talk about that later on in the podcast. But again, a good week of hockey for the Caps. Only loss coming against, of course, the Penguins. So before we continue, I just want to remind everyone of the DMV Sports Network library of podcasts. Right now, there are 9 active shows, which includes shows for the Redskins, the Caps, the Nationals, Wizards, and Ravens. And then we also have a pair of mixed bag shows called It's About Time DC and Dom and Thunder. There's also a debate show called DMV Dispute, and that's available via live stream on Twitter. So all of these shows can be found wherever podcasts are available. So please check these out. And if you like any of these shows, please leave a review or even subscribe. Okay, Drew. So let's go into some of our extra topics for tonight. Something we can talk about is right now the Caps are sitting at 91 points, which is atop the Metro after this most recent win over Philly. And second place Islanders have 89 and Pittsburgh has 87. They won tonight. Us shellacking 5-0 against Buffalo. So how many points do you think it'll take to win the Metro with 11 games remaining? Right now, Caps are 91.
Yeah, I think right now you're looking at a possible 113 points if they were to win every game. I don't think that's going to happen. Islanders do have a game in hand, and I think their Minnesota game is their game in hand. I think they play Tuesday or Wednesday next week. I think one of those 2 days. So what I'm thinking is that I was thinking probably about 105 points, 107, maybe to win the Metro. You're looking at, like you said, Islanders are 2 points back with a game in hand. Pittsburgh's 4 back. And then you have Carolina with 2 games in hand on the Caps at 83. So if they were to win both of theirs, that would put them also 2 points behind with 11 to go once they play those games in hand. So it's I think really the fight right now is going to be in the wild card spots, considering that Columbus right now is in free fall. I know that they won the other night. They haven't been playing very strong.
Yeah, they caught themselves. They really got that win recently that caught themselves. But you're right. They're sitting right now in the second wild card spot, really pretty much tied for Montreal at 81 points.
Yeah, because right now I don't see the Islanders or Pittsburgh really dropping into the wild card spot the way that those two have kind of righted themselves of late.
Yeah, it's like a 6-point lead at least.
Yeah, so my feeling is I would think that the Caps want to finish first, so they could play either I think it's going to be either Carolina, Columbus, or Montreal. Right. Montreal's right there with Carolina, Columbus in the wild card race. Philly's on the outside of it right now with a game.
I think they're done after tonight. I think they're done.
Well, they have a game in hand on Montreal, who's sitting just outside at 81. So let's say they win their next game, which is tomorrow night in Toronto. They would have 78. But their road into the wild card is much harder than the other 3. So I suspect that Carolina, Columbus, and Montreal will be fighting it out for those 2 spots. I don't think the Caps should have too much issue playing any one of those teams in the first round. I would like to avoid playing the Islanders or the Penguins in the first round as a 2-3, to be honest about it. I would like to see the Islanders and Penguins beat each other up for 7 games going into round 2. So, stay healthy, beat the teams you're supposed to. They're going to see Tampa 3 times in the next 11 games. So those games are going to be huge every time they play. So I think that they have a chance to win the division, but they're going to have to bring their A game the rest of the season.
Yeah, basically with 11 games left, I think the Caps have to win at least 7 of those, which is gaining around 14 points, which puts them at 105 points at the end of the year, is what I think it'll take to win the Metro this year. And that's just crazy. We think it'll take around 105 to win. The Tampa Bay Lightning currently literally sit at 110 points with 11 games left. Or even 12 games left for them. So just just they're on another level, and the Caps played Tampa Bay 3 times before this regular season is over after not playing them at all this whole year. So let's just kind of talk about the next couple games for the Caps. It'll be Tampa Bay on Saturday night, then they play the Devils again, and then the Minnesota Wild. So how do you think they'll fare in those 3 games?
So I think between now and next week when we come back, they're going to be playing. Yeah, they're going to have Tampa and Jersey on the road, and then they got to play Tampa again. And the interesting part is that they play Jersey and then come home for Tampa, and that's a back-to-back. So I don't know. I have to look and see what Tampa's schedule looks like. But they got to go on the road in Tampa. I would say that looking at that, I would say that I'd probably give the edge to Tampa playing at home. I think that they could beat Jersey, and then I think that back-to-back at home is kind of a toss-up. But the way they've been playing of late, I wouldn't be shocked if they could win that one as well. So I would think that you're looking maybe at 2-1 over the next 3, just 4 out of 6 possible points. I would like to see them go 3-0. I think they can, but they have to. I think they have to get at least 2 out of this next 3 that they're going to play.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to want to get the 2. They want to go 2-1. I don't think that you can afford to drop 2 losses or even 3 losses, and with Pittsburgh and the Islanders on the other side chasing you.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is Tampa Bay is going to be kind of like a toss-up, but all I want to see them play well and, be like up to Tampa Bay's level, like we can play with them this year. Win or lose, I just don't want to get blown out. But, if you lose 4-3 or something, there's no shame in that. But if you do lose to Tampa, then I would predict that the Caps would be able to beat the Devils and the Wild. But, I think I'll go 2-0-1. I think the Caps don't lose any of them in regulation. Maybe the Tampa Bay game goes to overtime. But they get at least 5 points out of the next 3 games, which would be pretty good. Caps are right now 8-2 in their last 10. So just a really good mark or pace that they're on right now heading into the playoffs. Just some more Caps news. I don't know, Drew, if you knew that, obviously know that Devontae Smith-Pelly is playing down in Hershey, but he's been playing really well lately. I saw some stuff on Twitter that he recently had a hat trick for the Hershey Bears, and, then he picked up another 1 or 2 points the next game. So just some, update on DSP. And, something I was thinking about, is there, any chance that he stays hot in Hershey and then you maybe bring him up in the playoffs to replace someone on the 4th line? Do you think the Caps would go that route at any point in the remaining games?
Well, I think, once the playoffs arrive, the rosters are going to expand. You can do certain call-ups. You can do emergency call-ups as well. I don't suspect to see DSP unless there's really an injury, potentially. If they're able to bring a player up with an expanded roster, I think he would be most likely the first one to come up. So, if he's playing really well down there, I would hope that. Granted it's AHL competition, but still, he's been, once he's been in the lineup, once he got in, he's been producing. That's what they were hoping he would do this season up here, and he's just been in a drought. He came in out of shape. Maybe he was still kind of out of shape during the year. I don't know, but I think that I'm happy to see him playing well. He's taken into task and doing well. So I would like to see him come back up if he's going to produce like that. I think that he would be nothing but an asset, especially I think he would probably be put on the 4th line depending on who's injured, bottom 6.
Right, and recently it's Stevenson who's it's his turn up there. He's played the last 2 games for the Caps, and he's I don't think he's gotten any points, but he's definitely looked good on the penalty kill, like noticeably. I noticed that today. He might have an assist somewhere along the line, but basically it's Burakovsky down on the 4th line, and he stayed pretty hot and still producing, so that's good to see. And, again, with DSP, obviously, the fans would love to see him back here, but it's all about if he can make an impact, because the Caps are deep. They have a lot of options, especially for options on the 4th line. And, these guys have really battled it out all year long, and it'll be interesting just to see how, if the roster changes at all, if we see Juice again. We don't know, but he's healthy and ready to play. He's just been the healthy scratch lately. But beside that, do you have any other final takes on this week of Cavs hockey, or anything you're looking forward to this week?
I would just say, over the last few weeks, they've been found their groove. I think like they did at the end of last season. They had 7 in a row before, so it's 7, 8. So 8 out of their last 9. They've been playing well. I hope that they continue to do that going into the end of the year. They just got to, like I said, just try to stay healthy, try to stay out of the injury bug as best they can. And I think that they will set themselves up nicely going into the playoff round. Everyone's going to be trying to get them this year as they're trying to do back-to-back, which, hasn't been done, as since the Penguins did it. So I just want to see them continue to play the way they're playing. And like I said, just they want to reduce the turnovers, reduce the penalties, because continuing the way that they're playing in those areas will hurt them somehow in a series. Whether it's they lose a face-off in Game 7 at the near the end of the period or in overtime that they should win, or take a stupid penalty that breaks the momentum. They just got to make sure that they focus. So I think that I'm as the playoffs get closer, I'm getting excited because I'm waiting for the green flag to drop for their first series, and I want to see them do real well. I like to see them actually get a 4-game sweep to save their bodies for the long haul.
Yeah, I don't know if we can ever expect that from the Caps, but who knows? They got over the hump last year. So anything's possible, but I think that'll about do it for us here. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for listening in. Again, you can find us on iTunes podcast, as well as Google Play and YouTube even as well. We have the audios up there, and leave us a review as well if you like listening in. So of course, don't forget to check out dmvsportsnetwork.com and follow them on Twitter as well at DMV_SN. And again, this is Subir signing off for Drew, and this is the DC Powerplay. See ya.
Have a good evening.